Hi everyone, welcome back to another session. We'll just begin by coming down to the floor, taking your time, getting into a nice comfortable seated position. If you have any blocks or any rugs or anything that you want to just prop yourself on top of, feel free to make use of them, and that will just allow us to elevate out of our lower back. I'm just going to start by stacking the spine, getting nice and tall, tucking the chin very slightly, getting that nice extension up the back of the neck. We'll soften or close the eyes and begin to slow down the breath, creating nice long inhales followed by nice long exhales. With each inhale, see if you can extend the breath a little bit longer than the breath before. And as you exhale, nice, slow and controlled, try to match the duration of the inhale. And then steadily with each breath, we'll begin to center and slow the body down. Okay, we'll start by taking our left hand to the ground. If it's available to you, dropping the forearm to the floor, really grounding in to the right buttocks or right glute. Lifting that right hand overhead, nice and long, take a nice big inhale. And then if it's available to you, maybe bringing it overhead, being careful not to start crouching forward. You want to keep yourself nice and aligned. Really pushing into that bottom elbow so you don't sink into the side body. Create nice length across the lats, across the side body. Continue to breathe here nice and deep. Don't worry if you can't get fully over. If you maybe are still facing up long, maybe you're only coming over a degree or two, don't worry about it. Just go wherever your body feels comfortable today. And then we'll take a nice big inhale, coming back up. And then as we exhale, taking it to the other side, try and get a firm grounding, bringing the left arm overhead. And then if it's available, bringing that over as well. Continue to breathe nice and deeply. We don't want to just be breathing into the chest here, we still want to be breathing into the stomach and the lower abdomen. And we'll just continue to breathe nice and deep. If you find your arms starting to loosen, just feel free to bring it over a little bit more. You don't want to take it over to the point where we start to compensate by bending the elbow or maybe lifting up from the floor. Then as we inhale, we'll come back up. We'll make this a little bit more dynamic. So as we exhale, we'll come over to the left side. Take a nice long exhale. And then just as we finish the exhale, we'll begin to inhale. Rising back up nice and slowly, nice and controlled until we're sitting upright at the end of the breath. And then as we exhale again, we'll come back over to the other side. So feel free, maybe in time with your own breath or in time with myself if that makes you more comfortable. We'll just slowly inhale, rise up. And then exhale, come over to the other side. And then again, rising up nice and tall before coming over. We'll just do this a few more times, just warming up the side body. If you maybe sit at a desk job all day, you'll find that the sides might be quite tight, as during the workday we don't tend to do any dynamic movements. It's quite linear, sitting down, facing forward, arms moving back and forth, typing. There's not really much in the way of a dynamic function, but we don't want to lose that mobility at all. So although we might not feel we use it very often, it becomes useful when we least expect it. Maybe we slip on something, maybe we have a trip or a fall. We don't want to lose any of this mobility and become rigid anywhere, because it's usually that rigidity. I think that's how you say it. It's the rigidity that is likely to cause further accidents across the body. So on your next inhale, we'll come back up to a seated position and we'll move into all fours. So coming into tabletop pose, we're going to stack the shoulders on top of the elbows, on top of the wrists, and we're going to do the same with the hips on top of the knees. And then from here, we're going to take a nice big inhale, going to do cat pose. So lifting the chest up and through, trying to point the chest forward. Nice big inhale. And then as we exhale, really vacuuming the lower abdomen into the back body, creating a nice rounded back here, reversing the pose. And then as we inhale, really try to get that tilt in the hips, lifting that chest up and through, pulling the shoulder blades back and away from the ears. And then as we exhale, reverse it again. Again, continuing on this theme of dynamic movements. We're just trying to warm the body up here, making sure we're just loosening everything off. If you're just waking up and starting the day, or maybe you're just finishing it, it's nice just to be able to unseize everything, making sure everything's still moving okay. So again, feel free to follow in time with your own breath here. Then on your next inhale, we'll come up to a flat back and we'll sit back into child's pose. So feel free here to take your hands either to your side, in front, or maybe down by your sides, the length of your leg. We're just going to curl up nice and small. Continue to breathe nice and deep. Okay, from here, we're going to come forward, back into tabletop pose. And then as we exhale, we're going to curl the toes under and go into our first downward dog of the day. As this is the first one, feel free to pedal the feet out if you feel you need to. Maybe take an extra little bend in the knees just to ensure you get that nice straight back. And you're just going to continue to breathe here nice and deeply. Getting a nice long stretch across the back body and down the backs of the legs. Maybe feeling a little bit of ankle stretch here. Okay, and then from here on an inhale, we're going to slowly make our way back down to tabletop. And again, we're going to make this a little bit dynamic. So as we exhale, we're going to come back into child's pose nice and slowly, vacuuming the last of the breath out as we finish the pose. And then as we commence our inhale, we're going to rise up to tabletop pose. And then as we finish the inhale, we'll curl the toes under, pushing back into downward dog. Emptying out the breath here, staying nice and strong, really vacuuming out the stomach, engaging the core. And then as we inhale, again, we'll come back down into tabletop. And then that's right, you've guessed it. On the exhale, we'll push back into child's pose. So feel free, again, to just go in time with your own breath here. Maybe your lung capacity is a little bit fuller than mine. Maybe it's a little bit smaller. Just go in time with your own breath. Each time you come to an inhale, you're going to be moving into tabletop pose. And then for each exhale, alternating between child's pose and downward dog. See if you can start to challenge yourself a little bit with each cycle of breath. See if you can just extend the breath a little bit longer each time, slowing it down, making it a little bit more fuller. Really slowing it down before moving on to the next breath. This will just allow us to center the mind as well as getting lots of oxygen around the body into our system. If you feel comfortable with it, maybe try it with your eyes softened or closed, and it will allow you to just challenge to try and see where your body is in its space, understanding where the floor is, what the sensations feel like as you move from each posture. And then on your next inhale, we'll all meet in tabletop pose, uncurling the toes if they are, And then start by lifting the right leg up. So you should get a nice L shape behind us. And then on an exhale, we're going to bring it through and then bring it towards our nose. Maybe give it a tap if that's available to you. Raising it back up, nice L shape. And then lastly, we'll bring it through between our hands to a nice low lunge. Feel free to push that back knee further back if you feel you need to. We're just going to take a moment here just to get used to the sensation. Hold everything nice and strong, so if you were to lift your hands up, you're not falling over. Get nice and controlled, pressing into the top of the back foot and all four corners of the front foot here. Breathing nice and deep. And then lifting the hands up overhead. We're going to come up nice and tall. And then on an exhale, try and lean forward. Lean the hips as far forward as you can take them. Keeping the torso up nice and long. Torso pointing towards the ceiling whilst the hips trying to get as far forward as they can. Inhaling, coming up. And then exhaling as we come down, peeling the front toes up towards the ceiling. Intention is to hopefully get the whole foot vertical. Don't worry if that isn't you today. Take a nice big inhale and then exhale. Move forward. Inhaling, coming up nice and tall. Before exhaling, leaning forward. Inhaling, coming up. And then exhaling, peeling the toes back here. Nice and slowly. Take a nice big inhale. And then exhale, we'll slowly roll forward. For inhaling, coming up. So it's quite subtle, the movements here. We're just utilizing the hips here. Exhaling, coming back down. Peeling the toes up. Just taking some very subtle movements across the body. Just getting the hips working. Again, if you've been sitting all day, this is perfect. Just trying to remobilize the hips, trying to make sure we still have our full mobility. Lifting up the toes. Take a nice big inhale. And then for the last time, exhaling, leaning forward, coming back into a low lunge. What we're going to do here is we're going to take the front foot and we're going to turn it out 45 degrees. And then if it's available, we're going to start with our hands on the mat. And then if we can, slowly lowering our forearms to the floor. Now if this feels a bit too much, a bit too intense, feel free to use a block here. And all that does is bring the floor a little bit closer to you. So you can start working on some progressions here. Otherwise, if you feel you need something a bit more dynamic here, you can start just by lowering one forearm at a time, lifting it back up, bringing it onto the other forearm. And that'll allow you to get the same intensity but in shorter bursts, just so it doesn't feel quite too much. Otherwise, if you're down nice and long, just hold and chill out here, leaning into the outside edge of the front foot and pressing into the top of the back foot. Remember to try and get nice and long here. Imagine there's that mannequin string at the crest of your head, really pulling you towards the front wall. Getting nice and long from the tip of your head to the edges of your back toes. Then on our next inhale, slowly rise back onto our hands. Bring the toes back in front, lifting the back toes under, just so that we can bring that back foot back into a high plank. Exhale the knees down, back into tabletop pose. Then this time we're going to lift the left leg up into a nice L shape. Nice big inhale here. And then as we exhale, bringing it through, maybe to touch our nose if that's available. Then on an inhale, lifting it up to a nice L shape before bringing it through one last time and planting the foot on the ground. So, rules of yoga, whatever we've done on one side, we need to do on the other side to balance everything out. So we're going to do a little bit of hip low lunge movements here. Again, just nice and subtle, making sure both sides are nice and even. So we'll just remain here, just getting used to the pose. Take note of any little nuances or any niggles that you can feel. Okay, then we'll start inhaling, coming up nice and tall, reaching for the ceiling, and then exhaling, moving the hips forward, trying to get nice length in that back leg. Inhaling, coming down, peeling the toes up, and exhale. Coming forward, nice little lunge. Inhale, rise up. Getting up nice and tall. And then exhaling, leaning forward. Inhaling, coming back down. And then exhaling, peeling the toes up towards the ceiling. Take a nice big inhale. And then we'll exhale, come forward again to a nice low lunge. Inhaling, rising up. And then exhaling, coming forward. Inhaling, coming down. And then exhaling, peeling the toes up again. Trying to get nice length, really pulling our hip band or our waistband back towards the wall behind us. Take a nice big inhale. And then exhale, come forward. So similar to the other side, we're just going to do a few rounds of this, carrying on with the dynamic movement theme of this evening or this morning, depending on what time you are watching this video. Whatever time you're watching this, well done for coming to play today. You've taken a step that 99% of the population hasn't quite done. So congratulate yourself on just turning up, giving it a go. Don't worry too much if it's not the best day. Maybe your body's feeling a little bit fatigued. Maybe it's feeling a little bit lethargic. Maybe it's just generally raining outside and you don't feel your best. Just congratulate yourself on turning up. It's the first step, but it's also the most important. Inhaling, coming up. Exhaling, leaning forward. Exhaling, coming down. Inhaling, coming down. Exhaling, pulling the toes up towards the ceiling. Take a nice big inhale. And then exhale. Lean forward. We'll go one more round. Inhaling, rising up nice and tall. Exhale, lean forward. Inhale, come down. Exhale, peel the toes up. Take a nice big inhale. And then exhale, lean forward. Very nice. So from here, if it's available to you again, I'm going to turn the front foot out 45 degrees. And then whichever movement you feel most comfortable with today, maybe it's just leaving the hands here, maybe it's using a block, maybe you want to carry on the dynamic theme, or maybe you are able to just bring the forearms down and just hang out here. Whichever posture you feel like doing, just embrace it today. Peeling the shoulders back and away from the ears. Continuing that nice long length from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head. And in your own time, rising back up, maybe taking that back foot back behind us, and then exhaling, coming back to child's pose. This time try and keep your hands out in front of you and use that connection with the hand and the mat to try and see if you can get a little bit more stretch here. And you might start to feel it maybe in the armpits, maybe down the side of the arm. Then on our next inhale, we'll just slowly rise back up, bring ourselves once again into a nice comfortable seated position. Crossing the legs, maybe keeping them bent, maybe legs out in front of you, whichever is most comfortable. We'll just take a moment to stack the spine one more time, tucking that chin in, just very slightly. Bring the shoulders down and away from the ears. A few more big breaths here. bring our hands together, thumbs to the forehead, and bowing. Thank you for coming to play today. Namaste.